Portrayed as damsel in distress.
Being in bed a lot. We don't have control.
Weak and lost or damaged.
Can't handle your business.
Women are just crazy. I hear that phrase so much, and it bugs me. As a woman, it does bug me.
The narrative of women not being able to look after themselves, needing a man there to pick up the pieces. Like, we don't have the ability to do it ourselves. It plays into that feebleness that a lot of people still think about women.
When a woman is suffering from an illness in the media, it's usually dramatised to the point where she's seen as some kind of unattainable shrew.
There needs to be a bit of a balance.
2 males that I know that are very close to me, they have bipolar, and they've been suffering since they were a teenage boy, and that's obviously had a major effect on his life.
Women's mental health is definitely portrayed in a different way to men's.
It's not something that people really think about themselves having. If they do become a person that ends up having a mental health problem, it's almost taboo. You don't want to have it. There's like a big stigma on it.
It is something that really does need to be taken a bit more seriously in society.
It's more coverage from media. It needs more awareness.
I don't think that some storylines are portrayed accurately enough. More research needs to be done, and just speak to people who are actually suffering.
We are genuinely more sensitive, emotionally intelligent is the way I like to say it. And I think that's a huge factor into how we're treated in society.
People take it as such an insult to be called emotional.
Mental health is quite broad. I think there's different variations of it, different scales.
The outlandish, crazy characters that you see is not realistic. Mental health issues is a lot more subtle than what you think.
Faces that plague my youth, notions that forget their traces, dying inside the truth. Looking back on my life, these words I didn't know, they're laced by phrases I couldn't muster, indicative of the feelings flooded in that were clouded within clinical clusters, straining by nostalgic critics, hidden behind undiagnosed disorders. Look inside, find nothing but pride. Leave it out while you tear away this pesticide. You must scramble and down why so tragic. Down no still your dignity burns to sustain.
The moment when you realise those isolated and burrowed moles that are infused with past insecurities and ailments are not your own is a magical one. It's the point where the unsightly scars and blemishes that are projected from your subconscious become the badge of your strife and triumph. It doesn't hold magic though, like the awe and wonder you embody from the honesty in nouns and verbs that flood out of your mouth, manifesting together to form the words that become indicative of the internal optimism we hold in our heart. That type of optimism that could reverberate through my body, nudging and jittering the edges of my limbs, rhythmically propelling the physical aspects of my being, my hands, my feet, my fingers and toes reverberating to a symphony of exaggeration and expectation, where my idiosyncrasies mould the conglomeration of emotions into nervousness, unease, life, freedom. The freedom to accept all my perceptions and expressions as difference. The difference that seeps through my subconscious and oozes out of my youth, soaking into the rims of my mind, plaster mirages of my character, explosions of emotion, splatter of excitement, smears of a daydreamer, sketches that become etched onto its walls, leaving their design, the plague of the unique child, the difficult one. Phrases that are sprinkled with what I used to think was inadequacy, the inadequate difference. When that moment hits, it should be magical, and we hope that is enough. The reality is that moment is fleeting. I've scored onto papers, scarred its surfaces. I've cornered sounds and phrases trying to capture that moment. I've released emotions onto stoic white sheets, contained in notebooks that clasp them in my mouth. Artifacts of my adolescence that have become keloids on my heart, just like the keloids that lay in all of ours. In the mindful images of the children we were told we were, and tell ourselves we still are. Those kids flicker through our realities, meshing our moments into thermomotropes with silent reels of our lives. Mind flashes incoherently, propelling my mind down a tunnel of visual manipulation, fogging my mind with the endless possibilities of the past. This journey is driven by the need to release myself from the images society perpetuates onto me. The damsels, the victims, the needy, the emotional, the scorned, the eccentrics, the unhinged. I thought the answer was to remain contained. We all find our answers with to which we think has made us escape. They become the dark forces that lay on our shoulders. They hook deep inside, clawing and snarling behind the keloids on our heart that feed onto our fears and insecurities, echoing out from the keloids on our mind, the keloids on our lives that hide our children, cloud them behind the kids people told us they were, rewriting their narratives, hot seating their characters, editing out their best bits. It's like the scriggle lines that dance on the peripheries of your eyes, and the colourful splatters and the innocuous shadow shapes that infuse within your mind. They flicker and subsume the mind. You dare yourself to look at them. You dare yourself to believe and unearth the shroud. However, once you have, they scurry away, fluttering, drifting aimlessly into the unknown, into the imaginary, into the fabrications of your mind, delusions of life, delusions of acceptable society. The delusions it expects you to uphold, the delusions that cloud your difference, that hide your freedom and take away your magic. It seeps into my language, seeps into my nouns, verbs and vowels, seeps into the fabrications of sound that are jolted and pierced into the words that hold meaning and flow out of my mouth. Actions that hold, actions that should birth freedom. I want to call out to it, I want to capture it in my tone. I want to see it reflect back to me in my eyes. I want to consume it in my senses, in the moment. It's here that I realised all the past stories were not my own. They were an idea of me, pieces from the stories everyone else played back to me, projecting it infinitely onto the pages of my life that embroidered my cosmic narrative. Within it were fragmented reflections of everyone, with cracked shards that fell off and ingrained into who I was. We are the people that have accepted our tainted stories and have unwillingly imposed ours onto others.
Our generation, we're more educated about it.
Part of dealing with any struggle or illness is recognising what it is first and foremost. There's more openness, there's more pride in it.
Here we create a stark relative reality. The reality where we realise that those moments will become this moment, and that we ourselves decide how that can be. It's there that magic can really breed freedom to be all moments and all magic.
We need to just find a way to take the stigma out of it so that we can talk about it and we can not feel embarrassed or feel as though we're going to be ridiculed.
People need to be more sensitive to what they're going through. They shouldn't just be labelled as this crazy person.
We're now being taught not to say in terms of ridiculing someone's mental health. And I think that's something that was absolutely not taught to generations before us. Because you never know, anyone could have anything. You want to make everywhere a safe place.
And as long as people take the courage to step up and speak about it, then I think things will go in the right direction.
Like art, that's their therapy, that's their way of telling us what they're going through.
I think already it plays a massive part in all senses, in terms of acting as a release for the people experiencing the art as well as the people making the art. It can also be something that other people relate to, and you never know what kind of effects things have on other people.
We have a lot of like abstract images and things like that, but really making people think about what the meaning is of that image. We've got magazine platforms, you've got blogs, you've got all these things where we all have a voice and we can use it to impact a large audience.
What one person may just think is one thing to someone else, it could mean a completely different thing. It could help them move forward in whatever journey it is that they're having.
As things progress, I think it will bring itself into like all aspects of our life as we become more comfortable to speak about such controversial things.
There is a gap, and I think there will be someone that will, step forward and actually make a huge impact.
I hope the future's bright and people will get the help that they deserve.